Alright guys, today I just wanted to talk about the rise and the fall of the McDonald's Japan Pikachu promo card. As you can see on your screen right now, this caused nationwide chaos and also showed us the difference between speculative hype and the reality. So, this was a promo that was launched in Japan, selling out within just hours. It caused a lot of problems because a lot of people in Japan were buying the McDonald's Happy Meals just for the card and then discarding a bunch of the food. And it became, a very sought after collectible, obviously, because it was a limited time event, just like the Van Gogh Pikachu has been. Now, the real problem with this is they ended up cutting the promotional short because of the waste of food and just the accumulative hype of how crazy this was. I mean, people were literally buying meals and tossing them to the curb just so that they can get a Pikachu card, and it was a massive amount of wasted food on top of an irregular amount of hype. So, I saw this at a card show at one point going for $70 ungraded. It just recently crashed down to 26, but I want to talk about why because there's even, you know, a bunch of sales during the day. Ungraded has 2 sales per day. PSA 10 has 7 sales per day. There's still hype around it, but just like the Van Gogh Museum did, there's so much going on where people were buying massive amount of these just to try to build into the hype and resell it for a profit. The real problem is, and this Reddit post was made just a month ago, there was 60,000 PSA 10 McDonald's Pikachu that exist. This was 1 month ago. That population of PSA 10 has since doubled. There's over 120,000 PSA 10 McDonald's Pikachus. And I think this comment exemplifies what happened perfectly. That's 1.5 million revenue for PSA. If there's a gold rush, a smart man sells shovels. So by submitting all of these to PSA, of course, they made a lot of money. Now, the speculative hype around this triggered a frenzy where the card started to go for $60 and sometimes even more so in the US just because, it was a Japan promo. Now, it's a 90% gem rate, which means 90% of the submissions, over 120,000 are graded and 106,000 came back as PSA 10s, meaning they're not so much in high demand in that regard. Now, of course, there's a lot more than 100,000 Pokemon fans who might want this in a 10. It's the same thing that goes for the Van Gogh Pikachu. I made a video about that as well. But just the fact that it skyrocketed so fast meant that the demand was not as small as people thought it was going to be. On top of the fact that they actually stopped it early for this reason. When they stopped the promotion, it just built even more hype. And it was a perceived amount of scarcity, but not a true um, rarity of the promotion. So it was a lot of FOMO, and being the first people to cave into this market means that a lot of people were buying into something that they didn't really even know about, including a black label. I believe this is a Beckett. Yes. Sold for $21,000. I wonder how much that's worth now because, to be honest, it definitely crashed since then. Now, they're calling it the Burger Chew because everything needs a nickname like the Bubble Mew and the Butt Pikachu, if you will. But it's absolutely has gone insane, and I'm interested to see where this is going to be in a few years from now. But as we go back to the Reddit threads, let's see. A lot of people claiming this would go to the moon, comparing it to the Van Gogh Pikachu. Let me see if I click on this, if it will. There you go. Well, these are 2 years old at this point. Anyways, the Van Gogh Pikachu I have in a PSA 10. I bought it at just a few $100s at a PSA 10, and that has since gone to $1,700, which I'm surprised about. The population is 40,000. And there's a lot of artificial hype, again, because they decided to discontinue, let's see, felt hat. Pikachu, because they decided to discontinue the promo early since people were going absolutely crazy over it. However, the ungraded is going for 600, which again, I bought my PSA 10 for like 300 ish, and PSA 10s are going for 1500. So it's also having a little bit of a crash as the population goes higher and higher. Now, something to note with this is that Pokemon generally has been in a bull market recently, meaning that there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of crash. You need to be careful with what you're buying because with this instance of the Burger Chew or the Burger Pikachu, see now it's actually catching on. There was a lot of backlash between the long lines of scalpers and people just leaving food on the side and wasting food, which, I mean, it's not surprising if this would have happened in the States, but the fact that it happened in Japan really kind of shows the culture shift of the whole market and the fact that people are not willing to pay for it, but are perceiving the fact that it's super duper rare is showing its true colors in the sense that it's not worth as much as people are making it out to be. And I'm sure it's gonna probably crash even more. It'll spike after it, flatlines. But I think this is a long term investment in a way that it might be worth something in 5, 8, maybe even 10 years from now. But right now, the price is plummeting. Do I think this is a good buy right now? Well, my opinion doesn't matter because it's all speculative. And this was literally earlier this year. So there's so much time for it to bottom out. However, ungraded at $26 seems pretty good to me considering it is a limited edition promo. I'm personally not going to buy it. I don't have an interest. I want to put my money towards other things that are going to appreciate in value, I believe, more reliantly, to say the least. And in addition to that, when you look at the Van Gogh card, you see how people were hyping it up a few years ago. Um, this is someone who is just asking if it was real or fake. But as I dive into even more of these, I mean, these are old cards here, or old posts. But I made another video about all of the arts that are inspired by real world artworks, including the Van Gogh Pikachu and the woman looking back from the Japanese exclusive box set. And if you want to know about those, I really recommend you go look at those videos. Again, this whole Burger Chew thing is super duper speculative, and a lot of people thought they could have made a ton of money on it, whereas now that it has pretty reliably crashed, I mean, it's really insane, but it's also a note to the future that if you're speculative about a promos and you want to hoard them, maybe just take a couple, see how the market's playing out, but also know that nothing is for sure in this very inflated Pokemon hype economy. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hearing me out. Subscribe if you want to see more things, and I will talk to you soon.